Hi there, it's Faye, and today I'll be showing you how I clean and refill my fountain pen cartridges. Traditionally, fountain pens hold their ink either through a refillable mechanism that is built into the pen or through a cartridge that can be refilled through a piston, which is also called a converter, or they use disposable cartridges. I've personally always shied away from disposable cartridges because it seemed wasteful. But then I bought this pen that just wouldn't work with any converter I tried. It was a manufacturing irregularity that made the barrel just not big enough for converters, and so the only thing that worked with it was disposable cartridges. Through my friendly and local fountain pen shop owner, I learned about a way to refill disposable cartridges with ink again using a syringe. This is really cool because you can get experimenting with a whole new world of inks on pens that typically only fit cartridges. And you won't need to buy more cartridges after this, which will save many empty cartridges from polluting the environment. And also, I secretly love this method because it's the least messy method of refilling fountain pens that I know of. So let's get started. What you'll need for this is your fountain pen, an empty cartridge, which presumably you've finished and haven't bothered to replace yet, ink to refill the cartridge with, lukewarm water in a cup or bowl which you can handily reach into, a paper towel or cloth that you don't mind getting a little inky, a syringe with a needle that fits into the cartridge. You can get a syringe from your local fountain pen specialist or definitely online. It's totally worth getting one, and it's a great tool to have around if you use fountain pens a lot. First, we're going to clean the pen and cartridge. I'm not going to do a thorough cleaning here of the fountain pen nib, as it only just ran out of ink, so this will just be a short bath in lukewarm water. Disconnect the cartridge and insert the nib into the lukewarm water. As you can see, the cartridge is empty, but there's still a little bit of ink in there. We're going to flush it out with some lukewarm water using the syringe. When using the syringe, be really careful not to apply too much pressure or else the water will squirt out everywhere. Instead, inject water into it very slowly and let it slowly overflow into the cup. Once you've done that a couple of times, use the syringe to suck out all the water from it. The cartridge should be reasonably empty of water at this point. Fish out the nib and dry it on the paper towel or cloth that you have at hand. This pen had green ink in it before, and we're going to refill it with the same green ink, so I'm not too concerned with getting absolutely all the old ink out. However, if you are changing ink, or if you left your pen sitting with dry ink for a very long time, I do recommend doing a more thorough clean at this stage, which may involve soaking it for longer and then running water from the tap through the nib until the water runs clear. Now that the pieces of the fountain pen are cleaned, disassemble the syringe and get as much of the water out of it as possible so it doesn't dilute the ink we're about to insert. Get your bottle of ink and insert the needle to the very bottom of the ink bottle. Once it's there, slowly fill the syringe with ink. You want to fill it with approximately the same amount of ink as you think will fit into the cartridge, plus a little bit more. Then, Grab your cartridge and insert the needle into the cartridge, making sure the needle hits the very bottom of the cartridge. Inject the ink into it very slowly. Once the ink is near the top of the cartridge, slowly pull out the needle. Also, resist the temptation to further try to inject more ink into the cartridge. Even though there may be more headspace available after pulling the needle out, the risk of making a mess at this stage is high, and I speak from experience. It's just not worth it. Now that the cartridge is full, we can plug it into the nib and reassemble the pen. To get the pen to write again, I have found that a dozen lines of scribbles in a notebook does the trick. It'll look watery in the beginning, but eventually the ink will start flowing more strongly. The pen is usually back to its normal self after resting overnight, for sure. Now that the fountain pen is ready to go, what's left to clean is the syringe. There's probably still some ink left in the needle and the barrel of the syringe. If you want to salvage the ink, carefully suck air into the syringe to get the ink back from the needle and into the barrel again. Now, you may want to suck in a bit more air so there's more air than remaining ink in the syringe. At this point, it's optional to unscrew the needle. You can leave it on if you want, but I do take it off. Now, orient the syringe vertically so the ink gathers on the bottom of the syringe on the needle side. Grab the ink bottle and use the plunger to fully push the air and the ink out back into the ink bottle. Now that you've flushed as much ink out of the syringe as possible, clean the syringe using lukewarm water and plunge several times to flush out all the remaining ink from the syringe. Feel free to change the water out with fresh water once things are close to clean. And finally, you can disassemble the syringe and leave the pieces to air dry before storing away. And that's it. That's how I refill the cartridges of my fountain pens. Let me know if you have success with this method, and if you have any questions, please share them in the comments below. Thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you next time.